guys, welcome back. Today we are at Insurance Auto Auctions in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's cold, it's rainy, it's windy, but that's all right. Today's auction, blazing hot. Quite literally, we have a list of cars we're checking out for the shop, but me personally, it's Dodge Demon revenge time. The last salvage auction Demon I tried to buy went for $86,000. The good news, however, this one should be a little cheaper, just a little bit. This Demon runs at auction literally hours from now, so we gotta go hunt it down. Well, this is weird.
I thought all the bullets were green. I thought that was part of the package.
Yeah, me too. This one, it doesn't look green, does it? It's legit, it has all the bullet stuff, doesn't it?
It's got the green stitch interior, it's got the door sill, it's got the airbag, it has the special finish on the dash, it's got the wheels.
Did we just learn something new today?
It's got the trunk panel too. It's got to be a real one.
Well, I have to say, I love this car when it was green. In black though, it actually looks really cool. The black wheels on the black paint, it's pretty tough. I know it's not traditional bullet, but I'm digging it.
It looks better in black, it does.
The bigger question is, what the hell's wrong with it?
It has damage at the back corner of the wheel here, but it's not much. No, it has a little bit more up front. Maybe this was a over the curb excursion.
Well, hop on in, pop that hood, let's see what we're working with.
It's got the strut bar, it's got the intake manifold, it's got the intake. More signs that this thing is the real deal.
Does it sound like the real deal is the question.
Smells like freedom.
And as you guys are aware, on wrecks like this, we're always kind of conscious of the fact that it may have hopped a curb, maybe crushed the oil pan. That's why you saw him checking the oil there. Obviously it's nice and full and apparently smells like freedom, whatever the hell that means.
No power.
No power at all?
Absolutely nothing.
Now guys, we did ship out a jump pack today. A brand new jump pack at that. It doesn't work. Yeah. Oh no. No. This isn't good at all. Not the Z06. You guys know I'm a big vet guy. This is not what I want to see at all. This C6 is absolutely destroyed. It'd be nice if we had a jump pack. Le Mans blue, 1 year only color. This one's a fairly rare car that I'd venture to guess is not gonna see the road again. Brutal, absolutely brutal. There is no more intake manifold, and that is not an exaggeration. That is the water pump pulley flipped around and backwards. Safe to say dropping a valve in the LS7 is the least of this dude's worries. This is one of the hardest hit Corvettes I've ever seen. One of the problems is when they get hit this hard, a lot of that energy goes right back to the torque tube diff transmission. So you might look at this thing and think, oh, that's a pretty nice parts car. Nobody's fixing it. It's also not really that great of a parts car. Truthfully, it's all gonna depend on what it goes for because it does have some redeemable qualities, of which one of the most important, a set of wide body rear quarters. Those with the liners, the plastics, both sides, $2,500. Even with all the damage, it looks like it might have a full set of brakes, $1,200. Eagle eye tinted taillights, $200. NPP 3-inch exhaust, $750. Then of course, while we can't get in the interior, you have all the usual interior stuff that pulls a good bit of money on these cars. While that's certainly not the extent of the money, this is what really matters in the Z06s. Now you certainly could get a good bottom end, you might get good cylinder heads out of it, but it's also equally likely that water got down in there. Frankly, who knows? Typically when they're hit this hard, we kind of tend to avoid them, though as you know, in the smoked series, we've been buying a couple cars that actually might be a little worse than this. As with anything in life, of course, depends on the price. On the topic of price, even one in this condition, somebody that didn't get out here to look at this in person may want to pay out for this thing. They'll regret it afterwards, but it will probably price us out of it. If I had to place a value on this after seeing it, I'd say maybe $6,500. That's what I might consider paying for it. It's unlikely that this car goes for that. Someone will almost certainly pay $8,000, $9,000 because after all, it's a Z06. Usually on a Z06, I would definitely take the time and go through it and see what we need to do to fix it. That one back there, you're not fixing it. You're just not. And while that one's definitely not starting, you may have noticed Austin's nowhere to be found. We split up a little bit, and word is he has a Z06 that's actually gonna start.
I found mine, this extremely nice C5 Z06, tucked away in the nice weatherproof warehouse here. The driver tub and fender both have damage. The frame rail itself, though, looks to be untouched. Aside from some minor curb rash here, this front wheel even looks to be in pretty good shape. It doesn't look too far out of whack as far as suspension damage. Pretty much the whole front end on this actually has a little bit of damage. If I'm gonna guess, it almost looks like this maybe went under another vehicle. Also, the windshield is cracked. For a windshield to crack when there's no airbag deployment and no direct impact to it, that means that something shifted around pretty good on this car. Well, we're having a little difficulties here, but you do get a flash. Oh, that's why. All right, so this one has one of those security issues where it doesn't, it might be out of gas too. All right. There we go. Let you guys see some of the gauges here. Good engine oil pressure, traction control light, and ABS, which is obviously from the impact up there. One thing that's very important on these C5 Corvettes, the displays for both the HVAC and the radio. And it looks like this one works, the radio functions. We love to buy these C5 Z06s whenever we can. The manual transmission, differential, C5Z axles, all of those items are extremely in demand. This car though, I think is a fixer. With these cars' value going through the roof right now, it will not surprise me at all if you see this car at auction sell for somewhere in the $11,000 to maybe $12,000 or even $13,000 range.
So I know we came over here for that SRT10 truck, but we'll get to that in a second because I have to take a quick diversion to this RCF. I don't think I've ever seen one of these at a salvage lot before. It's obviously fully taped up, so we can't get into it, so that's a shame. While it might not be an LFA, it's still pretty aggressively styled. You're not gonna get to really visualize that up here in the front because, well, it's missing. This isn't something that we typically buy on the parts front, but from a fixing standpoint, the whole passenger side looks good. It looks like the brunt of the damage was up here in the front driver's side. Of course, that did rip the whole front bumper off. We still have a headlight hanging on over there, however. I'm not super well versed in these, but judging by the clamps on that, I'm gonna guess that that's a transmission cooler, which can only mean that this is the oil cooler. And let's see. Fortunately, it actually looks like it's intact. So while the oil cooler is hanging down there, the lines are intact, they don't look broken. That alleviates a big issue. When you see an oil cooler blown off of it and you don't know if it was started after the wreck, that's terrifying. Fortunately, it looks like this one just got a little less risky to buy. As for the tire, this thing has seen far better days. It almost makes me wonder if this was a wreck caused by a blowout. Unfortunately, the hood is shut and we can't get in there to release it, so that is quite unfortunate. Scoping out the inside there a little bit, there's a Mopar box, so I have no clue what's going on with that. Otherwise, it just looks like there's some more of this kind of insurance wrap. So this one, unfortunately, we can't figure out much about. It's a cool looking car, and as for the wreck damage, it doesn't look super bad. But that's enough about a Lexus. Obviously, Dalt is over here patiently waiting to check out this Viper truck.
You're not even gonna comment on my chair, Carrington?
I didn't really want to ask where you got that from, but now I kind of have to.
It was in the back of the truck.
So while I was geeking out over a RCF, did you get a chance to take a look at this thing?
I did, and I had a brief glimpse where I thought we had a boost gauge on the pillar here. I thought we were in for a treat.
No such luck. Fortunately though, we do have a nice manual transmission, which in a truck, always cool.
Can you imagine a truck this torquey, rowing gears? It has to be an experience.
I can't say that I've ever done that, but now after seeing this, I kind of want to. Let's be real, we know what they're here for. Pop the damn hood.
We gotta see it.
That was very anticlimactic. Woo! Check that out. From this angle, it almost looks like we're messing with a sports car.
Look at all of this space. Two little turb skis, one up high here, one up high over here.
I have to say I'm liking your plan. So is this theoretical, or are you also trying to buy a Dodge from this line? Now, as far as damage here, a little scuff on the front bumper. We're gonna cover the easy side first. It's a nice looking truck. Nothing to see here, guys. From the back, also looks pretty good.
The majority of the front end parts here are in good shape. The hood, the bumper, which is unique to this truck only, are usable.
And I have to imagine if you're fixing one of these, that's probably the expensive stuff. So this truck might be a great fixer candidate.
This is just a lot of cosmetic damage with the door, the fender. This piece, I have to imagine, is unique to the SRT 10, so hopefully that's not hard to find. You're definitely gonna need some suspension components for sure on this front corner.
What are we talking, like a traditional control arm, hub, knuckle? Or are we just replacing the whole corner on this to be safe?
I think probably the whole corner just to be safe. The entire upper A-arm looks like it's blown off of the spindle.
Yeah, that's not supposed to be facing up, is it?
Little dents and dings at the back end, but it looks like the damage is isolated to this front passenger side back to the door here.
At the end of the day, this is still just a truck, albeit one with a very special engine. And on the topic of that engine, let's crank her up.
I want to hear it run. It's got like a key lock. It won't even turn.
Yeah, the column there is actually kind of disassembled. Maybe somebody was into this. I wonder if it was a theft car. It's not listed as theft on the sticker, so who knows what the deal is with that. We're not going to get to hear this Viper truck run, and I'm not thrilled about that. We actually ran into a car with power. It's not what we set out to find in this video, but it's pretty damn cool regardless. Everybody knows that alpha badge there. HKS blow-off valves, I haven't seen those since 2006. Advent RG D2s. As something of a JDM fanboy myself, I love them. Not only does it have Advents, it has Toyo R888Rs. Our favorite tires, we run them on half the cars in the shop. Dot, you said it has power. Please, for the love of God, tell me this thing's gonna start.
It's got to start.
Oh, are you kidding me? Yeah, that's right up your alley. Wow. That's something. No wonder it sounds so good. Tomei, baby. This car's actually pretty awesome. I didn't intend to spend a ton of time on it. The only downfall is it's not the red sport. Because of that, I guess it doesn't have Akabonos. Don't give me some HKS.
It sounds good.
It does sound good.
I like it. I can see why people like these cars.
So it might not be a Viper truck, but I'm pretty excited about that. I know it's not everybody's taste.
After a lot of disappointment today, that did put a smile on our face.
100%. One car that we definitely don't have to worry about starting, this guy right here. A really nice PP1 Gen 3 Coyote 10R80 automatic. This is far and away one of the cleanest cars here, at least when it comes to the rear end. When you get up front, obviously that changes a little bit, but back here, the passenger side of the car, super nice. Even based on the tires, this thing has to be super low mileage. We obviously can't run test this thing because at least something's pushed back into the motor. But as far as fixing it, if you were to go that route, which it is a very valuable car, so even though it's damaged heavily, it's conceivable that somebody could do that. Let's see, where do we start? Full suspension corner, door replace, fender replace, a little bit of inner structure repair most likely. I probably don't need to say this, but you're gonna need a hood. As far as physical damage to the engine, you can see the throttle body there is open and exposed to an extent. That frame rail, really bad. That frame rail, really, really bad. It's up, it's over. This one is definitely a rough fixer. It hit something dead square in the front. I don't know if something went over it. I don't know if something went straight into it right there. But this one, man, this took a whack. Going back a little further on the car, the windshield heavily cracked. Not really a big surprise. This is one of those cars that's gonna fall into a really weird area. It's still a new car, 2020 in fact. Because of that, people are gonna at least consider fixing the thing. From a parts standpoint, there's a lot of good, valuable, low-mile parts on it. Problem is, we have no way to guarantee how badly that engine is hit. It has obvious issues from a fixer standpoint. If I had to put an on-the-spot guess on it, 12.5. 12.5 sounds good. Well, I'm not gonna pay 12.5 for it, but somebody will pay 12.5 for it. For the love of God, how can anybody spend money on this car? Great looking car, isn't it? I did say it was gonna be cheaper. This will be cheaper, I guarantee it. That's about the extent of the good news here. I'm speechless. I'm genuinely speechless. I knew this thing was gonna be rough. This is rough. This is next level project. First off, the interior. There is none, period. It's a melted heap of plastic. There's kind of a shifter down there. That's all we got. I can't imagine this is anything but the worst Demon that has ever ran at Salvage Auction.
Do we want to spin this on a positive note, though, and start talking about what's good on it?
We can try. It's not going to take very long. Front driver wheel, kind of sort of melted, but maybe repairable. The center cap, that's not going to work too well. It does have the Brembo, and that actually looks good. We'll need to replace the tire. So if we buy this thing, we just got to factor tire replacement into it.
Yeah, speaking of tire replacement, Carrington.
It looks like somebody else should have replaced the tires. Wow. Wow, that is bald. And I can't help but notice, this person was rolling in style. You have burnout rubber all the way up the rear quarter. I do like that. You think this guy might have been hooning in the middle of Las Vegas Boulevard, takeover style, and just something went seriously wrong?
The only thing that's popping into my head is I think that you can confirm that it wasn't wrecked on a track because it doesn't have the drag pack on it.
Fair.
So I would assume that this was probably done on the streets.
That brings up a good question, actually. The last one of these I saw at auction, they had the Demon crate with it. I didn't see anything about this one including it on the listing at IAA.com, but I'm definitely gonna ask. If we bend down right here, it kind of looks okay. I don't know if any of you guys are buying that or believing it, but that's what I'm gonna tell myself. Well, that's not supposed to do that. I mean, I guess there's a little bit of a silver lining in the engine bay. It looks like it was a majority interior fire. You know what just occurred to me? Someone somewhere has pictures or videos of this car on fire. We need to hunt that down.
Almost has to.
Don't ask me how, but one of the things that didn't melt, the blower belt, though it is sliced. As for the rest of this stuff, the valve covers, all the good stuff there that's now stuck to the valve covers permanently, I don't know what's salvageable out of that. I would have to imagine that at the very least, you can get a block out of this thing. The Demon scoop, that complex intake setup that we saw in New York, that surely did not survive. We do have the heat exchanger, we have the radiator assembly, though I'm gonna guess the top is completely melted like this intake. Hey Dot, check it out. Let's go ahead and reinstall that bad boy. Looks good to me. Somehow that front core support area actually didn't get it too bad. Driver's fender, driver's door, rear quarter, which obviously this is some collision damage. I don't know what caused that. I'm still trying to piece this all together. The roof is quite literally blown off the thing. It's rare that I find myself speechless to these lots, but this one did it. You have good taillights, you have a good rear bumper, you have a good spoiler, never mind. The heat got to that and cracked it. So you have a spoiler with a little character, no big deal.
It looks like damage to this wheel also. There is axle grease in the wheel well there.
That makes sense because that's kind of cocked out. That wheel got it bad. Look at the fender liners in this thing. Look how caked they are in rubber. You gotta love that. Maybe we grab a little Demon souvenir rubber for the road. Here you go, don't say I didn't ever get you anything. One thing that fortunately did survive, in a twist of some kind of poetic justice, the Demon badge on a car that looks like this. So did any wheel truly survive? This one up here, super heavily curbed. The passenger rear, you know the deal with that one. The driver rear wheel looks like it might be the only wheel that actually survived. The good news is though, those wide body fenders, the rear bumper, as I already mentioned, I think that's about where it ends. In the Demon badge, that's what we got on this thing. See, I saw cheap Demon and got really excited. Presumably you did too, and that's why you're watching this video. Yeah, this is tough. I'm trying to convince myself there's still something to be done here. Obviously there's a few good parts, but I didn't fly halfway across the country to find a parts car. This is one time I'm gonna ask for you guys to tell me what to do in the comments. Should I actually buy this piece of junk or should I actually leave it alone? And if the YouTube comments say leave it alone, you know it really needs to be left alone because you guys are fucking wild. Well, now my head's turning. We have a little more lot to cover, so why don't we go do that? And I can think about this and see if I really want to make a bad decision.
Which the answer is usually yes.
Yeah, fair point. Spotted it from a couple miles over, another Bentley right there. Honestly, the Chrysler might be a better example of one because this thing is toasty. Well, not the toastiest car we've seen today, but the hood latch is stuck, but we can definitely take a quick walk around it and see. Ooh, ew. Not great. Not great at all. kind of dope wheels, though it's sitting way too low, but that's the least of this car's problem. The back end, it has a bunch of crash tape residue. The trunk, pretty filthy and disgusting. Now, if you're looking for a project Bentley, and I do mean project, it's gotta go cheap. Maybe for the right person, it will be good for something. That right person is not gonna be us. I like cars that are completely engulfed by flames, as you know. That one's just a little too light of a burden for me. I don't wanna speak too soon here, but this car kind of looks like it might be the perfect solution to that Demon. Did I anticipate possibly running into the perfect donor like 2 minutes later? Definitely not. But this thing, well, it does have a little roof damage. I think we can all agree that while this isn't some super easy fix, it's a little better than the Demon we just saw. She got cracked in the driver door here pretty good, but once you get inside, at the very least, it might be in poor condition, but if you look over there, it actually has a dashboard. It's not a melted pile of plastic, so we're doing at least a little better. As far as something like a whole usable chassis, this probably isn't it. This one's probably more of a, hey, cut what you need off it and throw it onto the Demon. Maybe it works to fix the Demon, maybe it doesn't. But at the very least, this might be a good one for the salvage yard. Wide body cars, always great money. No one's ever complained about a set of the big 6-piston Brembos down there. Moving under the hood, it looks like it has a couple good mods. Can't say I've seen one of these intakes before, definitely not in red. AFE Momentum GT, not a bad looking piece. We do have, of course, the first aftermarket mod that most Mopar owners do, a catch can. One thing I haven't seen on many of these, it looks like it has aftermarket coil packs, so that's pretty interesting. I did just glance up and see that sticker, which has my curiosity peaked. Does this have the takeover special LED rainbow flashing strobe headlights? I know that spoilers your style.
If you're gonna add something like this to a car, do it right at least. Look at that.
Just Mopar things, am I right? That's like a perfect size 12 there. You think somebody kicked this thing in?
Yeah, maybe with a set of steel-toed boots.
So while it is a pretty good hit, I still think this thing's gonna be pretty expensive. Good front end, wide body, those things equal a very expensive Mopar. We're definitely gonna have to keep an eye on it though, because there's obviously a lot of stuff the Demon needs. This car has 90% of it. Does have power, but it doesn't have a key, so that's gonna be a problem. I just noticed that. How did we miss that? That seems pretty important.
Because we live the static life?
That makes sense to me. This guy runs the static life too. What do you guys think? Did they snatch the bags off this before it went to auction? Or is this guy just throwing whatever stickers on his car? It does have the AFE intake, so we got that right.
Fake it till you make it, right, Carrington?
I mean, it's not the worst. What is that? Uh-oh.
It looks like it's got muffler deletes, but not a Borla kind of muffler delete.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think this guy is definitely doing the fake it till you make it trend.
So he said, I couldn't afford the airlift, but I'll put the sticker on preemptively. I like the style, I can't lie. Let's keep it moving to see if we can find a car that actually has the parts to match the stickers. This next car is definitely not the project car that I came here for, but I'm not gonna look at an S14. I mean, right off the jump, it looks like it's kind of rough, but you wanna try to pop that hood? That didn't go as bad as I thought. Okay.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Almost
got me.
That is a problem.
Well, not really. It's a KA. Nobody likes those things anyway. You just rip it out, no big deal. The way I see it, this isn't a problem. It's an opportunity.
This is a problem, though.
Well, I don't really have a good solution for that. So, tube front end, drift car things. One thing that is definitely not a problem are these Volks. I can't recall another time that I've seen Volks of any kind, even if they're really old, at a salvage auction lot. The back end of this car is actually really clean. It's definitely a left-hand drive car, but it has some JDM goodies. I don't recall seeing this wing before. Is that a logo?
That looks like a logo.
Oh my God. Navon, that's very expensive stuff. Does it have the rest of the Navon kit? And here's where I show my S14 ignorance. Those rear spats, are they Navon? Tell me in the comments. Actually, I'm gonna redeem myself. I know for a fact that's a Navon bumper.
Really?
Somebody needs to get Jimmy Oaks on the horn ASAP.
It's got a Nismo shift knob, and it is a 5-speed car, which is a obvious bonus.
Now the question is it an authentic knob? That's where I'm gonna rely on you guys to tell me. It's pretty rare that I see cars at auction. I'm honestly kind of bummed that they're sitting there. This is one of those. This looks like a car with a lot of nice touches. It's a desert car, so that probably means it's pretty rust-free. That stuff there, that's just paint cracking. This one is actually kind of a shame. As far as more Navon stuff, Navon side skirt? Maybe, yes, no. Once again, put it in the comments if you're familiar.
Woohoo! $208. 100,000 miles. Besides the front end damage, the rest of this body isn't too bad, but it is high mileage. It's able to be fixed with the amount of people that do tube front end work on this car. Somebody can fix this car and use it as a drift missile, just something to have fun with.
Let's be real, whoever gets this thing is gonna smash it again 2 weeks later, so. Honestly, it looks like a very in-depth, but a very worthwhile project. Extra points to anybody in the comments who can let me know exactly how much that Navon stuff is worth, just for my own curiosity. My sincerest apologies, guys. I know this is a Demon video. Turns out the imports were the only cars that want to start today. And when I ran past this thing and saw a nice little turbo sitting in the back of this Civic Si, I just couldn't help myself. I'm so sorry.
Boring.
And back to your regularly scheduled programming. While this time we didn't find a ton of cars that I think would be great fixer candidates, we did find one very bad fixer candidate that I still kind of want. But if you're wondering why I'm practically out of breath, that's because that Demon runs soon. Like very soon.